degree is the entertainment district a matter of public safety?
I proudly say I was in every state hospital on Long Island. I was working there though, because some people may refute that. Never did I feel unsafe there. And people used to ask why, and my response was because I know who the people with issues are. They're all in here. It's the ones out there I worry about. And that's how I felt in the entertainment district. As long as I was with my group, I was in there, but I looked at all those around me, and young people that would normally be okay when they're up on booze, and I can tell you there was drugs there, they don't have the same behavior. I feared for their safety toward each other, not as much as for mine because of the group that we were in, but I was awestruck at how our police department was able to handle the issues, minimize disruption, and my only wish was that there were more of them there.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
As of the entertainment district, I've spoken with many police officers and our chief. I believe that they are enforcing, they are placing the appropriate resources in the entertainment district to maintain its safe environment for all.
I disagree, because I've been there over and over and over again on the bar walks. There's 10,000 people down there intoxicated, drunk on any given time. We could solve the problem if we put more resources and if we had different policy. There's arrests that should be made that aren't being made. If you have 10,000 people that are intoxicated, even if you have 10% that are getting back into their cars, that's 1,000 people that are getting into their cars and driving out of the entertainment district, and that affects all of us. We're not making the appropriate number of arrests to deal with that because we don't have the resources. Why do I find drunks sleeping on the street? Why do I find some of the crimes that I uncover and alert the police department to? Because I'm the only one out there looking at it. We don't have the resources. And
by some of that comment you raised, something that I believe most people might be aware of, but if they're not, there's a new public safety policy allowing uniformed Scottsdale police officers to privately contract for after-hours services with owners. Can we elaborate or comment on that new policy?
First of all, I think that the problems that there's still problems down there. I think when you have an environment like that, it's going to breed that. But I'll tell you what, the public safety that has been down there and the times that I've been down there have performed unbelievably well with the resources that they do have. As for public safety, being able to work off-duty in the entertainment district, something that I've actually suggested is that moving forward with a lot of the conditional use permits in this city, especially in the entertainment district, that we have a first right of refusal for Scottsdale PD instead of other departments to work off-duty there. I believe the synergy and the collaboration between the off-duty Scottsdale PD and the on-duty Scottsdale PD now creates a much better environment to get some of the problems solved before they actually make their way out into the street. Unfortunately, a lot of these problems, when they do arise, come from inside of the bar or establishment, because that's where people are hanging out. And if they can find those problems inside and they can let somebody know that they work with in Scottsdale PD outside that's on duty, we can go ahead and nip that in the bud before it moves forward.
When you think about the entertainment district, and it's not really designated as such, and Ms. Korte brought up a point, we have a commander for the entertainment district. I think that in itself answers the question. I mean, it's got to be out of control if you have to specify somebody to be commander of a certain area. And I believe if I was on the city council, one thing I would do is make sure that the city manager does not impede the police or the fire in doing their duty. I think that's the number one thing. I'm not there behind the scenes, and I don't hear the back talk behind the walls of what they're saying to each other. But this is something that should be taken care of, not something that allows to happen so that people can keep having their live, work, and play environment.
I like the idea of having that level of professionalism, an off-duty policeman, especially Scottsdale, working with the owners and with the management of the places. I agree with Mr. Serena. There's so many things that, when handled properly, can be diffused before it ever gets out of the street.
In theory, I think it's a good idea, and in practice it may be too, but I would make this comment. What I like about it is I do think it very appropriately would shift some of the cost of enforcement to the actual bar owners if they're the ones hiring the off-duty police officers. Second to that is I like very much the idea of well-trained police officers providing this service rather than a, say, security team. And nothing against the security folks out there, but I've been down the entertainment district. Some of this stuff is pretty serious, and I'd just as soon have the best there. My concern would be, I would want, if we are going to shift in that manner, I would still want there to be a level of reporting so that we know what crimes are being addressed, stopped, or handled. So if those off-duty police officers are involved in altercations or things like that, we probably need to have either reporting or something on that so that we know what's happening.
Currently, the bar owners are utilizing off-duty Maricopa County Sheriff Office officers, and they don't necessarily have the same culture in treating people like our Scottsdale police officers do. There's a definite difference. I've been down there at 3:30 in the morning and seen it. Also, the communication. If there's an altercation, the county sheriff's office, their communication goes to one relay station, and then that is forwarded to the Scottsdale Police Department for a response. There's that significant response lag that by having Scottsdale Police off-duty working in the bars, we can circumvent that lag and I think be more responsive in a safer manner.
Just a couple of comments. Johnny Cervantes is in charge of not only the entertainment district, but a larger area than that. And also, the crime rate in the city is actually going down. I think it's down 16% since the beginning of the year. And I asked the chief about the downtown recently, and he said the downtown crime rate has dropped by about the same percentage. They said they've been able to watch over the area well by, in some cases, increasing some overtime when they needed to. I know that when we were having some parking problems in the area of Bill's neighborhood, they put some people down there overtime in order to monitor the neighborhood, and that helped. So I believe that the police chief is addressing the area as he can with the people he has, and my feeling is that even though there are some problems that people see that maybe become apparent from time to time, it is under control down there. It is not out of control. Yes, there are people drinking, and yes, they are wandering around on the streets, but I believe that the police and the public safety people in general are keeping the situation under control.
We've just discussed in the last question the role of the council is to make policy. And it seems to me the overriding question here is, yes, this is a strategy which is very effective and welcome. We do want off-duty Scottsdale police officers who know their beat best to be the ones here. However, the bigger issue is we have, through policy on the council, created, in large extent, the issue that we're talking about. The people wandering the streets, the people who are intoxicated, the people who are going to get into cars and drive, the people who are in the neighborhoods of folks that live very close to the perimeter. So the answer really is, what do we do moving forward? Well, we can't close these businesses down. We're not going to. But we need to have an effective policy to manage the future. And what we do with that future, this is an integral part of it, to have off-duty officers utilized. But at the end of the day, what we're going to really need to do is see how do we manage the future of this area? And what are we going to do to make that happen?
I guess one of my questions is, why did this have to be a new policy? It would seem to me that a city force knows its city streets, its people, its policies, its ordinances better than any other enforcement agency. Why did this have to be a new policy for Scottsdale? Why wasn't this the policy at the get-go? That was a council decision.
Thank you.